Genesis 4, Cain and Abel. After Adam and Eve were sent out of the Garden of Eden, they started a family. Eve gave birth to her first son Cain and later to another son, Abel. Cain grew up to be a farmer, working the land and growing crops. Abel became a shepherd, taking care of sheep. Both Cain and Abel wanted to give an offering to God. Cain brought some of the crops he had grown, while Abel brought the best portions of his firstborn sheep. God was pleased with Abel's offering because it came from the best he had, but he didn't accept Cain's offering in the same way. This made Cain very angry and upset. God noticed Cain's anger and warned him. "Why are you so angry?" God asked. "If you do what is right, won't you be accepted? But if you don't, sin is waiting to take control of you. You must learn to rule over it." Despite God's warning, Cain let his jealousy and anger take over. One day, he suggested to Abel, "Let's go out to the field." While they were there, Cain attacked Abel and killed him. It was the first murder in the Bible, and it was between brothers. Later, God asked Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain replied, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" But God knew what had happened. "What have you done?" God said. "Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." As punishment, God told Cain that the ground would no longer produce good crops for him. Cain would be a wanderer, always restless, moving from place to place. Cain cried out to God, "My punishment is too much. Anyone who finds me will kill me." But God, even in punishment, showed mercy. He put a special mark on Cain so that anyone who saw him would know not to harm him. Cain left his family and went to live in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Later, Adam and Eve had another son named Seth. Eve believed that God had given them Seth to replace Abel. Through Seth's family, people began to worship God again. Genesis 5, the family line from Adam to Noah. This chapter tells the story of Adam's descendants and the generations that followed. Adam was created by God in his image, and after Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden, they began to have children. Adam lived for 130 years before he had a son named Seth. Adam said that Seth was given to him by God after the loss of Abel, who was killed by his brother Cain. Adam lived for 930 years in total, and during that time, he had many other sons and daughters. Seth also had a family. He lived for 105 years before his son Enoch was born. After Enoch, Seth continued to live for many more years, having more sons and daughters, and lived a total of 912 years before he died. Each generation followed a similar pattern. A son was born, more children followed, and each person lived for hundreds of years. Here's how the generations continued. Enoch lived for 90 years and had a son named Cain. Enoch lived a total of 905 years. Cain lived for 70 years and had a son named Mahalalel. Cain lived for 910 years in total. Mahalalel lived for 65 years before his son Jared was born. Mahalalel lived for 895 years. Jared lived for 162 years and had a son named Enoch. Jared lived a total of 962 years. Now, Enoch's story is a little different. When he was 65 years old, Enoch had a son named Methuselah. But something special about Enoch was that he walked with God for 300 years after Methuselah was born. This means Enoch had a close relationship with God. Unlike the others, Enoch did not die in the usual way. After living 365 years, God took Enoch away. He didn't experience death like the others. Instead, he was simply taken up to be with God. Methuselah, Enoch's son, lived longer than anyone else recorded in the Bible. He had a son named Lamech at the age of 187, and Methuselah lived a total of 969 years. Lamech, Methuselah's son, became the father of Noah. When Noah was born, Lamech said, "He will comfort us in the hard work and toil of our hands, caused by the ground that the Lord has cursed." Lamech lived a total of 777 years. Noah was the 10th generation from Adam, and after Noah was born, he too had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This chapter shows the long line of people from Adam all the way to Noah, highlighting how life was passed on through many generations and how God remained connected to each family.